This is a breast cancer and early screening mammography presentation by a group of nurse practitioners and midwives. The authors are Jenkins Lawhorn, Mari Wiles, Victoria Cashin, Julie Percival, and Nicole Wilson. Just as a warning, this presentation does contain some graphic content.
Trish has been my coworker for the past 5 years. We have stood side by side, welcoming new life into this world and watching it fade away from babies born too soon. When you work closely with someone in this capacity, you have the rare opportunity to see someone when they are truly vulnerable, and you are able to catch a glimpse of their soul. But this isn't just a story about Trish. It's also about Cammie, her wife and partner of 22 years. It's about their 2 sons, Gavin, 13, and Bryce, 11, their friends, their families, and even their coworkers. This January, Cammie scheduled a mammogram after being urged by a coworker to schedule one since she was now 52 and hadn't had one since she was 45. Cammie had a family history of other types of cancer, but not breast cancer. Cammie felt like she was low risk after having breastfed both of her sons for over a year. She didn't have any changes with her breasts and didn't feel any lumps. Cammie says she would have put off the mammogram for several more years if it wasn't for her friend's strong urging to schedule the scan. Cammie went in on a Friday for her mammogram and was immediately scheduled for a diagnostic ultrasound and biopsy the next Monday, since they had seen something that looked suspicious. Knowing that this happens sometimes, Cammie and Trish weren't at all that worried. But that Wednesday, after her biopsy, she received a diagnosis of grade 3 breast cancer. She had an 8-centimeter mass in her left breast. Cammie stayed home that day from work to process the diagnosis and to share the news with her family and friends. She said that from very early on, she had a "we're going to beat this" attitude and was even able to use humor to cope with her diagnosis, even telling her mother, "I wanted to lose 10 pounds anyway." Cammie works at a smaller company and didn't have long-term disability insurance, but her coworkers were very supportive. They helped Cammie pick her surgeon, created a GoFundMe page, and sold bracelets with the inscription, "Cammie conquers cancer," and Jeremiah 30:17, to raise money to help with medical expenses. Trish says she doesn't know what they would have done without the support because Trish took 3 weeks off and Cammie was out for 5 weeks recovering from surgery. Cammie feels that in many ways her diagnosis was harder for Trish and her family than it was for her. She approached her cancer with a fighter mentality and was really only focused on getting through. Whereas Trish struggled with being Cammie's support person, her rock, and of course, she grappled with thoughts of losing Cammie to cancer. Trish recalls feeling worried that Cammie's double mastectomy was scheduled for a month later. She feared that the cancer would continue to spread, and by the time Cammie had surgery, Trish feared it would be too late. Then 2 weeks before Cammie's surgery, their oldest son, Gavin, fell in PE class and fractured both of his elbows. He needed to have 2 casts and became completely dependent on his family to assist him with activities of daily living and hygiene. At this time, this felt like just one more devastating blow to an already struggling family. But now, looking back, both Cammie and Trish feel like this accident allowed them a much-needed distraction and brought them closer together as a family. During this time, their youngest son, Bryce, told Cammie, "Mom, this is a really hard thing we're going through, but there's going to be something really great on the other side." On the day of surgery, Trish sat in the waiting room with Cammie's parents and a friend from work. She brought a book to read and something to crochet, but she said all she could do was sit there and stare at the wall. Trish recalls that the surgeon came into the waiting room and said, "We've removed their left breast." She knew that's what they were there to do, but she said it felt so surreal to hear him say that out loud. She said waiting felt like an eternity, lasting around 8 hours with an additional hour while Cammie was in the recovery room. At long last, Trish and Cammie were back together, but for Cammie, it felt like no time had passed. and she was somewhat shocked that an entire day had gone by.
Breast cancer is the fifth leading cause of death in women globally, with 1 in 8 U.S. women diagnosed in their lifetime. Screening mammography is the only method known to decrease related deaths and can detect most cancers before other symptoms appear. Screening mammography is recommended every 2 years for women 50 to 74 years of age and according to personal risk factors for women 40 to 49 years of age. Warning signs of breast cancer include a lump, knot, or thickening, swelling, warmth, redness or darkening, change in breast size or shape, dimpling or puckering of the skin, an itchy, scaly, sore or rash on the nipple, retraction of the breast, sudden onset nipple discharge, or new and continuous pain in one area of the breast. In 2018, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin proposed eliminating breast cancer funding that assists low-income women to obtain screening. We encourage women to obtain mammography screening according to the recommended guidelines and ask that you contact Governor Bevin in our attempt to support breast cancer screening by maintaining funding.
After the surgery, Cammie felt very confident that the cancer was gone, having been told by the surgeon that the tissue edges and sentinel nodes were clear, and chose not to pursue additional treatments. Cammie chose breast reconstruction using tissue expanders, which will be followed by implants. Cammie and Trish are also exploring options for nipple reconstruction, such as 3D areola tattooing. When Cammie returned to work, she wanted to shout her experience from a bullhorn from the desk. She also got into a little trouble for showing off her scars. She wanted everyone to know that mammography had saved her life. She was also very open with anyone who asked about her experience and happily shared pictures of her journey as well. She feels like her coworker was like an angel in her life and feels like she saved her life. She feels like it is her duty to pay it forward, to spread the message about the importance of having regular mammograms. Cammie wants other women to know that it's okay to be scared, but stresses the importance of having a positive attitude while you are in the process of healing. Cammie said this experience really made her reflect on what is important to her and has now come to understand how precious life is.
We want to thank Cammie and Trish for their willingness to share their story and personal pictures to raise awareness about the importance of mammography screening for early detection of breast cancer. We are wishing you the best on your upcoming surgery and recovery. Thank you so much for sharing your family story.